Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this special webinar event to commemorate the 37th anniversary of Bina Mandiri, which, as many of you already know, is a successful and long-established business that has served a great many Indonesians seeking to work overseas and their clients in many countries around the globe. I'm Phil Turtle, a director and past national president of the Australia-Indonesia Business Council, and I've known the managing director of Bina Mandiri, Pak Kanaka, for a number of years, and I'm very honoured that he's invited me to participate in this event today. At the outset, I would like to extend congratulations to Pak Kanaka and his team at Bina Mandiri for reaching this wonderful milestone, and wish him and Bina Mandiri continued and even greater success into the future. Bina Mandiri is, of course, an Indonesian recruitment company, and the theme of our webinar today is Indonesian migrant workers, now and future opportunities. This truly is an international event today with speakers from 6 countries: Finland, Portugal, Slovakia, Croatia, New Zealand, and Canada, presenting on the potential for Indonesian migrant workers in each country. Today also represents a breakthrough in employment events such as this, in that it's organised by the private sector, where previously government generally leads such initiatives. As the first such event, this is just a start to pave the way perhaps for even bigger and better events in the future. Given the webinar format today, questions for our speakers have been submitted by participants in advance, although any further questions you may have can still be submitted through the Bina Mandiri website at www.binamandirigglobal.com or through the chat function on this webinar, and responses will be published on this website and through social media in days to come. As countries around the world slowly emerge from the ravages of COVID-19 and look to rebuild our economies, many countries are now faced with drastic shortages of skilled and semi-skilled workers, and here in Perth, Western Australia, where I join you from today, we are no exception to this. Only recently, our new Australian federal government held a high-profile Jobs and Skills Summit that in part turned its attention to the challenges of satisfying the worker and skills needs of our country. From my own personal experience here, there are obvious and pressing needs in the healthcare and aged care sectors, as well as hospitality, various building, electrical and mechanical trades, and in our dominant mining sector, where many new projects are underway to meet global energy, electric vehicle, and other needs. These challenges are repeated in many parts of the world, and this presents great opportunity and choice for Indonesian migrant workers, and we all look forward today to the insights from our esteemed speakers. Firstly, I must pass on the sincere apologies of Ibu Hindun Anissa, Special Envoy for the Minister of Manpower of the Republic of Indonesia. Unfortunately, at very short notice, she cannot give her opening speech as scheduled, as at the last minute she was requested to accompany the Minister of Manpower for an urgent meeting. We hope to have Ibu Hindun join us another time. To start with, though, I am pleased, now to introduce Mr. Lazro Simbalan, MA, Deputy for America and Pacific of the Indonesian Migrant Workers Protection Agency, to give his address. Welcome, Mr. Lazro.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. It's 1 o'clock something in Jakarta. Good afternoon, or a little bit of good morning in Europe. Yeah. Pak Karnaka, ladies and gentlemen, I understand that this is an international webinar, but also attended by at least 100 something of Indonesian participants. Am I correct, Pak? At least 100.
Yes, sir. And we have 225.
Oh, even 200.
Registered. Yeah, registered to
amazing.
attend the webinar.
Yeah. Let me say hello to everybody. Protocols. Of course, first and foremost, Mr. Karnaka, our host, the director of PT Bina Mandiri.
Thank you, sir.
And Mr. Phil Turtle, our moderator from Australia. I understand we are also have the attendance of operational manager Safer Group, Joanna Cook from New Zealand. Hello. And coordinator excellent Edu Finland, Mr. Emmanuel Sain. I hope I pronounce your name correct. Yeah. And managing partner of Edgar Baker, Mr. Jacob Pekias of Slovakia. Yeah. And oh yeah, my colleague, my young colleagues, Mr. Datu Putra Persada. Mas Datu, are you there? From the Indonesian Embassy in Croatia. And Mr. Ruta Silva, the Managing Director, RCC Portugal. And all participants name one by one. I am reminded by my colleague from Miss Kelly Marshall. Yeah, it's a great honor to be part of this international seminar, webinar. I'm sorry I came late, but at the same time, please excuse me. I'm actually having an important event next door. So I wish I could stay longer, but one of my directors is also in the attendance, and two of young colleagues also attend this important event. First and foremost, I thank Mr. Karnaka for the invitation, and I congratulate him to get us together for this important event. it's an honor to be part of this. I know him almost 1 year now, so not very long, but I am impressed of his professionalism and also dedication for the good conduct of placement of Indonesian migrant workers abroad. Especially, I commend Mr. Karnaka and the company for his ambition to put priority of sending our skilled workers to developed countries, to our partners in developed countries with better protection system. And this is exactly why, in the midst of a number of activities, I feel affirmative of my presence for this event. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, dan kawan-kawan warga negara Indonesia, my fellow Indonesian nationals, I have 2 or 3 points only. One, Indonesian government considers the protection of our migrant workers as one of top priorities of this government and even the government before. And this is not only a political statement. We have, for the first time, a very reformed, a very progressive kind of law. That is law number 18/2017. It's only 4 or 5 years ago enacted. This brings a promise of the state, promise of the government for our fighters, for our hero, Indonesian migrant workers. 9 million of them, according to the survey of the World Bank. Why it is progressive? This law mandated a very full package, strong protection of our migrant workers based on 3 dimensions. One, it is a full-fledged protections in terms of economics, social, and legal. Number 2, if in the past, the protections of the government goes only to our workers during their stay in the country of destination, this law mandates the government to extend full protections before the period before departure, during their term of work in accordance with their contract abroad, and also after their return at the end of their contract. Number 3, if in the past the protections only limited to the migrant workers, but now by this law, the protections also covers candidates and also the family of the migrant workers. And this is in line with the international standard, especially UN Convention on the Protections of Migrant Workers and their member of their families. I understand everybody should be familiar with that international convention. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, to put this political and legal commitment into place, Chairman of National Agency for the Protection of Migrant Workers, PP2MI, we call it BP2MI, has established 9 priorities, to ensure the implementation of this law. I'll not go in details one by one, but one of this priority is, if in the past our migrant workers dominated by informal workers working in the informal sectors, low skilled, it is the commitment of the government to strive to put priority on the placement of skilled and professional workers. Exactly, the event is now seeking. Exactly the same as the goal of this important event. But it's not only that we are sending our people, our workers to any country. At least there are 4 requirements we send our workers. One, we are certain that the country of destination already have a strong protection system for foreign workers. And of course, all colleagues in the attendance, Australia, New Zealand, Finland, Slovakia, and so on, Portugal, I think it's up to the standard. Up to the standard. Number 2, it is our sincere hope and our effort together that our workers should be remunerated adequately. They should have decent salary remuneration allowance. We are not just sending abroad our workers. We ensure this adequate remuneration. Number 3, they have opportunity for self-progress, for personal empowerment during their stay in the country, in the host country. We hope when they return, there will be a better professional workers or even entrepreneurs or other professionals. That's our hope. And I'm glad this is exactly the objective of this exercise. Dear friends, let me say a few words on what we are doing now. For the last 2.5 years, it is a very hard time for our agencies like Bina Mandiri and also for our candidates because of the pandemic. But I'm glad to share with you a number of countries already opened their borders, and we are happy now as a matter of day by day to send our workers to a number of countries. South Korea is #1 in that regard, under the scheme of G2G. Japan, Taiwan, Germany, soon we'll send our nurse working for the first time under G2G umbrella. And we hope Finland, Slovakia, Portugal, Croatia will follow suit. Let me say a few words to my Pak Karnaka, if I may, to our fellow Indonesians. Saudara-saudaraku, peserta dari Indonesia, saya ingin menyapa kawan-kawan saya sebagai Deputi Penempatan dan Pelindungan untuk kawasan Amerika dan Pasifik mewakili BP2MI. Sangat berharap bisa mendapat informasi yang baik dari event ini yang diorganize oleh PT Bina Mandiri, Pak Direktur kita Pak Karnaka, yang baik hati dan profesional. Pesan saya singkat saja buat kawan-kawan. 1, banyak peluang bekerja di luar negeri. Tapi selalu optimalkanlah peluang itu dengan jalur prosedural, dengan jalur legal. Ada perusahaan-perusahaan P3MI yang siap membantu, jangan mau tergoda sama calo. Pemerintah melalui skema G2G, government to government, juga membuka banyak peluang. Kantor kami, BP2MI, bekerja sama dengan berbagai instansi, termasuk Kemenaker, membuka peluang itu. Ada ke Jepang, ke Korea, ke Jerman, ke Australia, hopefully, New Zealand. Ya. Jadi intinya kami, BP2MI, dengan P3MI seperti Pak Karnaka, siap membantu kawan-kawan. Siapkan diri Anda, kompetensinya, bahasanya, kalau ada kebutuhan sertifikasi, sertifikasinya, kami siap membantu. Dengan cara prosedural, Anda akan terhindar dari eksploitasi dan menjadi berbagai bentuk eksploitasi seperti yang sering kita ikuti di media. Sering-seringlah kontak kita di BP2MI, sering kontak UPT kita, balai kita di daerah, juga kawan-kawan dinas tenaga kerja tingkat kabupaten, provinsi siap membantu. Itu pesan saya ke kawan-kawan, dan saya berterima kasih. And close my statement, let me share with you, Mr. Moderator, actually I only emphasized for our candidates of migrant workers always to pursue the procedural, the legal way, yeah, to take the opportunity to work abroad. And our office of Pak Karnaka, Office of Labor Department in the regions, very much ready to welcome them, to support them, to facilitate them. Please be alert, please be sensitive. There are bad people out there, yeah, for illegal, illicit procedure, and it will end up in a number of variety of exploitations and difficulties. Don't do that, yeah. Alert yourself, alert your family and friends. A lot of opportunity to work abroad, but let's do it in a very procedural and legal way. Terima kasih, thank you very much. I hope this event will be very constructive and productive to fulfill its ideals, to achieve its ideals. And again, selamat, congratulations Pak Karnaka and PT Bina Mandiri, and keep in touch.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye. And again, my director is in the attendance, my colleagues, staff in the attendance. Please excuse me after a few minutes to go next door for another important event there. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Phil Turtle. All the best. Good night.
All the best for you too, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Pa Lazaro, for joining us and for your informative speech, kind words, and wise advice. That now brings us to our series of presentations. And firstly, I'd like to introduce from New Zealand, Ms. Joanna Cook, Group Operation Manager for Saville Group. Saville Group is the largest restaurants and cafe chains across New Zealand with 19 brands. Welcome, Joanna.
Hi, nice to see you all.
Sure.
I am the Group Operations Manager at Saville Group. We're a large hospitality business, mostly based in Auckland. We currently employ over 450 staff and are currently looking to increase our workforce by over 100 people before the end of the year. New Zealand has just opened up its borders to international migrants and to employer-assisted visas. There's a huge shortage of staff in the country, and a lot of our businesses, and particularly in hospitality, are really struggling to keep their doors open for full trading hours because of the shortages in staff and not having people move over to New Zealand in the last couple of years with the pandemic. Most recently, our government just opened these borders and the work visa opportunities, which means that for you to get a job with an employer over here, you need to work for someone who has accreditation. This accreditation means that the employer has pre-approved job checks to issue to migrant workers dependent on the industry that you are looking to work in. So in hospitality, which is what I probably know the most about compared to the other industries, we can employ cooks, kitchen hands, we can employ waiters, bartenders, venue managers, duty managers, and at this stage, it is a little bit harder to employ more senior chefs in our industry. The reason for this is the New Zealand government requires senior chefs to have a level 4 cookery qualification equivalent for New Zealand. And to do this, it takes about 4 to 5 months for that qualification to come through. So the senior chefs are a little bit harder to come through at the moment. Would I be able to have my presentation to talk through? What's that? Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So a little bit about our business and the opportunities that we can offer Indonesians within our business. Basically, Saver Group was launched in 2011. We now operate over 17 venues in Auckland, with a large one to open towards the end of October. Which will be a 300-seater on the Auckland Viaduct. So I've compiled a presentation with some examples of different hospitality offerings that we have and the different varied skills that we can accommodate within our businesses. We have roles in Japanese kitchens, Italian kitchens. We have roles as cashiers, full service restaurants, or more sort of baristas and bartenders. Auckland is the largest city in New Zealand, where most people live within half an hour of like beautiful beaches, hiking trails, and a large amount of islands within our Gulf. It's a very sunny climate, not quite as sunny as Indonesia, but we have an average temperature of around 25 degrees in the summer and about 15 degrees in the winter. We've got a large multicultural community and a passion for outstanding food, wine, and shopping. So moving to New Zealand, to move to Auckland, you're moving to the biggest city in our country. We have a lot of support groups within New Zealand because of our cultural diversity within the country. So there's always a lot of people on hand to talk to when you're moving across to our country. We've also compiled as a business a selection of different suburbs to recommend for you to live in, and options for different flatting situations and rentals around the country, around Auckland. Transport is relatively easy within Auckland. You can live quite close to the city. So if you're going to live and work in Auckland City, and for someone like us, within it's quite close proximity to catch a train or a bus or even walk. Sorry, I'll just go through. Yeah, so different suburbs around the city, there's quite nice places to live and quite affordable. The wage rates that you'll be receiving in our business with the hours that you would be given, it means that you can live in a nice house and afford all amenities and a good lifestyle. There's also lots of career opportunities and growth, particularly within our business being such a large hospitality group. Then once you come in and start at a junior level, we can move you up as we grow for those candidates that are wanting to progress in hospitality and to become managers and leaders in our business. Does anyone have any questions for me? Did you want me to answer the questions that have come through?
Well, Joanna, I was going to pose the questions at the end of your presentation, so just let me know when you wanted to do that.
I think that's good. I think I mean, I can talk mostly on Saver Group and then something a little bit about New Zealand immigration for.
Sure. Well, I did have 3 questions that had been submitted and prepared earlier, and I might put those to you one by one. You know, some of these you of course may have touched upon in your presentation already, but from Siti Solahatun was just wondering what the minimum education requirements are to get work in New Zealand generally, and looking at if they're able to get opportunities to work in hospitality, agriculture, or other sectors with only a high school certificate.
Yes, so depending, I'm not sure about agricultural industry and the requirements of that, but for hospitality, for some of our roles, we're not required any educational qualifications aside from the chef qualification that I spoke about. So, I mean, we're taking on kitchen hands with no qualifications. Our waiters and bartenders do need work experience, but they're not required any formal qualifications. All the jobs are listed on the Immigration New Zealand website, so you can go in and fill in the details to find out sort of what industry you can get into and what the minimum requirements are.
Thanks, Joanna. And then from Charisma Kamal Redda, was wondering again about the language requirements and if there's a requirement for IELTS qualification to get jobs within New Zealand.
Not on the accredited work visa for hospitality, there's not. I mean, it depends on the employer and what the language requirement needs to be. If it was someone coming into one of our kitchens as a kitchen porter, then a basic command of the English language would be ideal. If it was someone that was going to work in more of a customer facing job, then yes, they would need to have a language requirement. But for these visas, there's no requirement from the government.
Right. Okay, well then just lastly from Leonard F. Rakanung, just wondering about the time process involved for getting work, with the visas, etc., getting work in New Zealand.
It's dependent on the employer that you are being offered a role for. So if they're not already accredited, then they need to go through that process. So it's probably best to look for work with an accredited employer. Then from there, they need to have a job check for that role that they're offering you. So that can take up to about 10 to 14 days. Following that, depending on their paperwork and medicals and police certificates, it could take anywhere for a visa to get approved at the moment between 10 to 25 days, working days. And then, yeah, you're all good to go.
Excellent. Well, that's the end of our pre-prepared questions, Joanna. So thank you very much for your presentation and all the information you've shared with our participants. And that takes us now to Finland and Mr. Emmanuel Sein. And again, I apologise if I've got the pronunciation of Emmanuel's name incorrect, but Emmanuel is the coordinator for Excellent Edu of Finland, which is a Finnish company that expands work opportunities for international students and makes it easier for graduates to stay in the country, to pursue careers and immigrate to gain a better life. Welcome, Emmanuel.
Yeah, huomenta. Good morning, all the participants from Finland. Yeah, and first of all, I wanna congratulations for the Bina Mandiri. It's a long year. You have been achieved many successful. You have fight many things. You have troubles. You have many things across the globe, but you stand firm until today. That it's such of blessing. Congratulations for Bina Mandiri.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Emmanuel. Yeah, very appreciate.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Emmanuel Sine, but it's funny things because the name is signed. It's like a signing, so it's okay. But my name is Sine. I'm from the Timor Island. It's close by the Australia, by the Pil Tartar country. So I'm from Rote Island. So I'm close by the Australia, but I have been living in Finland for 13 years with my family. Yeah, actually, I'm the coordinator of Edu Excellence. Concentrate with the how to help Indonesian, especially for the university. More than 4,000 university across Indonesia, and Finland only have about 34 university. So we like a mediator between Indonesia and Finland, and I'm a helper, just as helper as Indonesia and Finland. Just about Edu Excellence, as many people knows that Finland have the best education system in the world. And I want to just reminding you that that is not Finns style. So not the survey is not from the Finland, but survey from the state, from the other country. The Finnish people is just quiet, just keep calm and keep quiet, but do the best thing that they can do. Okay, and now I will share something about Finland workers in Finland in the general information. Can my presentation can yeah, I'm waiting about, okay. Another PowerPoint, not Edu Excellent, but this Finland migrant presentation. Yeah, I'm still waiting, but just information about Finland, only 5.5 million people. And yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's like a general information that I can share today. But the important thing is about official language is a Finnish and Swedish. Swedish about 10%, but Finnish is the one of the difficult language in the world. It's, I think it's third or fifth in the world. And it's so difficult. So it's really needed if you would like to stay mostly in Finland, in the government sector and the private sector, you have to learn Finnish. And about the religion, especially for Indonesian, it is Christianity is a majority, but this Finland is the modern country, and many other religion is warm welcome to Finland. And Finland is small. I think it's one about, it's I think like a Sumatra island, the area. So Finland is small and with 5 million people. So Finland is so quiet, so quiet. And if you would like to visit Finland, I think this is, you have to know about Finnish language. My side job, I'm an interpreter as well. So I can speak Finland, I can speak Finnish. It helps so much. Next slide. Yeah, the land of thousand lake, Finland. So I want to share about this one because if many Indonesians know about Finland through the Nokia, especially for Nokia, but many as well do not know where is Finland. So in the north is and Finland is have a thousand lakes, but this in the other slide you can see aurora borealis. So it's so cold. So I live in Helsinki, and during the summer about 30 degrees, but during the winter in the north about 35 minus 40. So be prepared if you'd like to visit Finland. Prepare about in the summer, but especially for Indonesian during the winter time, it's extreme. I would like to say extreme because just preparing in the north, close by the North Pole. Next slide. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, so at the moment, Finland is, this is like a general information, but in the information technology, manufacturing, it is the most, the Finnish government needed worker from abroad, but especially is the Finnish government have like a scale of priority. First, of course, they would like to find in Finland. And then the second one is from the Scandinavian. And the third one from the European Union. And then the fourth and the fifth one is from Asia. I think Asia is the fifth one because Asian people is well known in Finland. Start from the Vietnamese people who is the first migrants live in Finland. Asian people is well known as people is really active, would like to find a job, not like a lazy people group. So Asian have the good and positive record in Finland. And now in Finland is that is like an emergency call for the migrants worker, even in the IT, in the manufacturing. But if I follow the news almost every single day, is Hannah Etchen is managing nursing from Helsinki University's Central Hospital, the biggest hospital in Helsinki. Finland's really need nurse across. They need from abroad because Finland is really bad situation at the moment. The next slide. Why? Because after the pandemic, many people who work in the health sector, they really burn out. I will say burn out because so many things have happened, and it's really hit so hard for the health sector. So now is many nurse, they are changed their occupation to another occupation, and a couple of demonstration is until now is it's negotiation with the government because they need the more higher salary, they need more benefit and more. So it's really big things at the moment in Finland. But before I continue, I would like to share about this is like the statistic from Finland. Finland is employment rate it's big high. It's quite big, and actually we don't have problem with Finland Finland itself. But after pandemic, we figure out it's something missing. Many Finland workers, they don't want to work. They just want like an employment because they so tired, hectic after the pandemic, and the job vacancy is increased. It means that the 32.4% comparing from the 2001, because like I say before that many people just want be at home, or they continue with go to the university, take a course or something. So they just wait and see. So it's many people just want like wait and see at the moment. So that is one of the problem in Finland at the moment. Yeah, as I mentioned before about in the health sector is 2030 approximately Finland need about 30,000 nurses. So it's really big needed for Finland for the health sector, and that is the one important thing for the Bina Mandiri. If you would like to concentrate with in the health sector. The next slide. Yeah, this is like a general how can the foreigner get a job in Finland. Yeah, language is the important. So if you'd like to go be like a nurse in Finland, not just only need about training. You have to go to the polytechnic. You have to know language before you contact with your client, patient, or so on. So language, it's like a number one. And research, of course. So be research. If you'd like to go to Finland, Scandinavian, or just going to another European country. Now, educational qualification, it's so, I have discussed with Mr. Karnaka, it's not easy, but I mean, it's not, I think it's possibility because educational system and standard, it's so high. So it means they really need like a nurse, you have to get a diploma 3 years in Indonesia, and then you have to go to polytechnic to get about 1.5 or 2 years until you can get a nurse. certificate nurse. Networking, of course, recruitment agency, and I think Bina Mandiri, one of the best I know, and the work experience. Of course, work experience is needed, but I heard from the hospital management, they love Indonesian people to come to Finland because about the culture. Indonesian people honor elder. Indonesian people is polite, and Indonesian people can do everything. So the management said this. They really need from Indonesia, but we'll see. How about the process in Finland? The next slide. Yeah, this is like common jobs in Finland at the moment. But number one is like a scale of priority. Number one is a healthcare assistant, of course, home-based personal, cleaning service, cashier, and the new things is a taxi driver. Now we have a application from Russian. It's so cheap. So many foreigners, they have a nice car and become a taxi driver. But I don't list in here because I think it's so sensitive because it's deal with the Russian issue. So I don't put in my slide. Yeah. And my conclusion is that Finland need migrant worker. Of course, Finland have the high standard, but it's like a marathon. If we would like to work in Finland, if it should be a collaboration with the private sector and the government, Indonesian embassy, like Mr. Karnaka have been visit in the Indonesian embassy. The last I would like to share is about, by the way, if you want to be happy, Finland is the well known about the happiest country for the 4 years. So if you want to be happy, 3 things I reminding you about: love others, 2 is learn, and the 3rd one is come and visit Finland. Thank you. Terima kasih. Back to you, Phil Tartar.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Emmanuel, for your very informative and entertaining presentation. I feel like I need to visit Finland myself after that. Again, we have some questions from our participants submitted earlier, and you may have touched upon some of this before, but from Claudia Ramawati Hartono, she was asking, when applying for a job in Finland, if it needs to be related to the skills that they have. And I know you did already talk about the main things people should focus on, but maybe you can talk about how people can match their skills with the opportunities.
Yeah, actually, from Indonesian, that's I know many people come like they start with au pair. It's like a 6 month and work with the Finnish family. That's the easiest things. So it's not you don't need like a diploma or something. And the second one, if you Finland is like a Western country. Western country need paper. So Indonesian friends, you have to have a paper. So I encourage, if you have a course and if you have a diploma, I would like to say that's good, but not enough. You have to learn more and learn about something, and not just in the paper, because if you come to Finland, they will check your certificate. Like I'm a bachelor of from the management. The professor would like to see my thesis and then discuss with me, and then they will stamp, okay, you are a bachelor. So you really need it, and ask and specific, of course, we can discuss afterwards, but usually from Indonesian, we have a low grade, and they would like to see and will make like a harmonies. They would like to check so detail. Afterward, they will say, this is diploma 1, 2, or 3.
Mm-hmm. And Emmanuel, look at that, almost feeds into the next question that we had from Sharil Hamza Owner Rizal, but he was asking about the job vacancies, if they're aimed to those that are certified skills. and just reflecting that many candidates may be qualified in certain fields, but are constrained by the certification or the proof of their work experience. I think you were just touching upon that now.
Yeah. Yeah, but Finland is a unique country. I mean, because we're only a small country, and I would like to say now is more and more open, but at another hand, Finland is more and more closed because of political situation, of course. So if you have a certificate, would like to have a job in Finland, Finland is very easy to check through the internet from the government website or something. But that's the point. If you have certificate and you have a good in English, I suggest you can seek a job with the information technology, in the manufacturing, in the game design. That is not, it's not so hard for you, because they need a migrants worker who have a special knowledge, a soft skill, and well known about English. And you have a standard with TOEFL, or Finland have like a level 6.5. They have a own standard. But if you would like to stay in Finland, that's the language you have to consider, because language is the important things.
Then from Eka Reni Ayu Suswanti was just inquiring about how long you need to be working in Finland to qualify to become resident, and also wondering if migrant workers can have their families with them whilst they're working in Finland.
Okay, for Eka is usually like I have my friends is just get a job with the Swapi, is like application, and he apply from Indonesian and he get the job in Finland, and the visa process only 1 week. So, and now his family, of course, in Finland as well. So they need a resident permit. It's not difficult. But if you would like to work in Finland, I wanna stress something about, you have to know about Finland well. You are independent person, and you have a good health with the extreme climate in Finland, and then certificate and so on. But I mean, about resident permit, work permit, I would say it's quite difficult, especially for Indonesia, because Finland have scale of priority, like from European countries, Scandinavia, and afterwards from Asia and Indonesia. So it's not impossible, but I would like to know more specific what kind of job you would like to apply. So I will give specific information afterwards.
Great. And then just finally, from Jason Satria, he was just asking if there is any protection institution in Finland for migrant workers.
Yes. As Indonesian first, usually I reminding Indonesian friend who would like to come to Finland, would like to learn in Finland. I would like to say, first, you have to contact Indonesian embassy. Even you have like a agency or networking, but Indonesian embassy number one, because Indonesian embassy have like a lapor diri, is information. They will know who you are and you would like to stay in which place in Finland. And the second one, sorry, and the second one, Finland is more stable, safe country. So if you can get the visa from the Finnish government, I will say Finland is the happiest and the safe country. So it's not big problem for the security. That's I would like to say. But Indonesian embassy and Finland embassy will protect you as a worker in Finland.
Wonderful. Well, Emmanuel, that's the end of our questions for you. So thank you again for your time and your insights on Finland. That's very much appreciated. Now we are shifting the order around a little bit, and we are now going to go to Portugal. And Mrs. Ruta Silva, co-founder of RCC Portugal. RCC Portugal is a Portuguese consulting company aimed at investment and internationalization, providing Portuguese companies with global solutions to support their human resources management with excellent service based on proximity and trust. With strictly selected partners in Asia, Latin America, Middle East and Africa, RCC Portugal recruit the best workers for their clients in different areas of Portugal, tailoring their experience and individual skills to the needs of each company. Welcome, Ruta.
Hello, good morning. Good morning or good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation to Mr. Karnaka. Congratulations for Bina Mandiri group. It's a long story and I wish all the best. And greetings to all the speakers and participants. My name is Ruth Silva. I'm manager and partner manager of RCC Portugal. RCC Portugal are a private placement agency and is a human resource consultancy and private employment agency. We have more than 15 years experience. We are the pioneers in recruitment of Asian workers with working visas for Portugal. Over 15 years, we have recruiting that more than 5,000 workers. Our experience, it is mostly with Thai workers, but about 3 years ago, we expand to other countries, namely Vietnam, Nepal, and Brazil. And we have now this new option with Indonesia. Okay, maybe I can share my or I need some help to put my slides, please, because I cannot share. If someone can help me there, Mr. Karnaka, because I cannot share my screen.
It's coming.
Okay. Anyway, we can. If you can put my presentation, or if not, I can talk, no problem. Okay, is that RCC Portugal private placement agency? Yes. I already mentioned the company presentation. We are located also in the south of Portugal, but we operate in all Portuguese territory. We are a specialist in international recruitment of the workers and in a legalization of foreign citizens who intend to live, work, or studying in Portugal. Our service we have selection some partners in several countries around the world, and we have representations in Brazil. This representation in Brazil is have already 1 year. We have an office in Brazil in São Paulo, and we work together with a Brazilian company, law firm, to request the Brazilian people to work in Portugal, mostly in hospitality. And in Thailand, this partnership have already more than 15 years, in Vietnam 3 years, Africa 3 years, Dubai since 2019, 3 years already, and now in Indonesia. We handle the entry process of recruitment, selection, and legalization of the workers are foreign citizens wishing to reside or study in Portugal. We accompany the entry transition process to Portugal and provide all the necessary support. To workers recruitment. We have we do the recruitment and the selection of foreign workers. We made the authentication and legalization of the documents in embassies and Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We collect all the documentation and we do the visa submission. We make the registration of foreign workers with the tax and social security department in Portugal, and also about the healthcare service. We certify translations of the documents and we do face-to-face translations, and we also give the service to workers and the customers during the duration of the employment contracts. This is the side of the workers recruitment. For foreign citizens in a generality, we provide investment visas. It can be golden visa or entrepreneur's visa for the normal that the workers recruitment. We do the working visa, students visa, also visas for retirement, or retired, or the citizens with their whole financial resorts. We provide the visa extensions. We provide the residency card applications, and we do the appointments at SAF. So SAF is Foreign and Border Police in Portugal. And also we have a partnership. Okay, we have a partnership with a professional training company accredited by the Regularity Authority in Portugal. This calls GERDS. With the training center F2, which allows all foreign citizens wishing to work in Portugal to obtain a training in a specific area. We currently have training adapted to our clients in hospitality sector, training workers for housekeeping, waiters and bartender, kitchen helpers, receptionists. This partnership aims to give foreign workers who choose Portugal to work a better training and adjusted to the country, taking into account the insertion and the social inclusion. This is very important. It's not only to arrive in Portugal to work. That part we are so concerned about the insertion of the workers and the social inclusion also. At the moment, we have only this form in hospitality, but we intend to extend to other areas. Okay, our office is in Portugal. This is our contacts. You can search us in the internet, in our website, also in Facebook, in Instagram, also. rccportugal.com or ruthsilva.com. This is our contacts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth, for that interesting presentation and informative. Once again, like with everyone else, I do have a few questions that have been submitted prior to the webinar today. So if I could pose those to you. First of all, from Elvira Damayanti, she was asking about the opportunities for fresh graduates, freshly graduated students who haven't got any experience in the workplace before working in Portugal, and if there's any opportunities for those sorts of people.
Okay, there are always several opportunities depending on the sector and the academic background. In other countries, there are areas with a great demands than the others. Yes, it will be pertinent for me to know exactly what is the area of Miss Elvira to can answer her efficiently, because in Portugal we work with the industry, we work in agriculture, we work in hospitality. This is the most important areas for recruiting workers overseas. But if she can explain to me exactly what it is her area, it's more easy and efficient answer.
Thank you very much, Ruth. And perhaps moving to somebody a little bit older than Elvira from Eka Restu Anggraeni, was wondering about the maximum age that workers can apply, and if there are opportunities to bring family, what the process and length to get PR might be, and also some insights into bringing children to also study whilst working in Portugal.
Okay, this is two different things. We have in Portugal, how most of the people, they arrive with a working visa or another type of visa. They are allowed to have the residency card. The residency card is the document that they can have after 120 days, and they can have also after this time the family union. Okay, it's two different things. First of all, they must to get the residency permit. Second, they can apply to the family union. The family union is the separate process, okay, and take an average of 1 year. It's slowly process, but it's not impossible, okay. But it's very slowly processed because our government, they must to check if the applicant have the means to call to his family to join him in Portugal. Okay, it's not a simple process; it's a bureaucratic process, but it's possible. But take more or less 1 year.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
It's only possible if the applicant arrive in Portugal with the right visa, working visa or another type of visa. Okay, and we have two types of visa. Maybe it's important. We have two types of visas: the residency visa and the temporary visa. The temporary visa or short-term visa. It's different. They not they cannot provide a residency permit. Well, they cannot ask with a temporary visa. They cannot apply for family union. They can only apply to the family union with a residency visa.
Mm. Well, Ruth, I think you've almost answered the final question I had from Muhammad Anis. You must have seen these questions before, but again, was really just asking what kind of visas they would need to work in Portugal, and what the time frame is to apply and get those visas.
Okay, the visas they take an average to 30 to 90 days. Okay. 30 days for short-term visas, until 90 days to residency visas. Okay, to apply for a residency visa, it's always necessary to have a work contract. For a temporary visa, also, it's necessary to have a work contract, but it's a temporary contract. For the residency visa, you can have a contract, but not less than 1 year. Mm-hmm. With renewals until 3 years with the same time.
Well, thank you very much, Ruta. I really feel from my office in Perth, I've travelled half the world in talking to everybody today. So thank you for your insights. And from there, we now move to Slovakia and Mr. Jakub Fekiac. And I'm sure I've got his name wrong, Jakub. My apologies. Jakub is the managing partner of Edgar Baker SRO. And Edgar Baker is a young and dynamic company from Slovakia whose goal is to provide experienced and reliable candidates for managerial, middle and lower positions, including international recruitment. Welcome, Jakub.
Thank you for introduction, and it was pretty good. We did pronouncing my name, so it's just fine. Good morning, everybody. Yes, Phil, today we travel around the world and across the globe. We have morning time in Slovakia. So good morning from Slovakia. Yes, so we are quite a young company on the market, 4 years, but I'm in the human resources business for more than 12 years. Many things are changed today. We have some global challenges. We have absolutely changed labor market. The people shortage is a general topic in Europe. I'm sure that also my colleague from Portugal can confirm that in all countries we are suffering with the capacity of the labor power on the market. We started with, I would say, traditional services like executive search and expert recruitment locally on our market, but then we also expanded our services with the service of international recruitment. For us, the main source for recent years, it was the Ukraine. Unfortunately, due to impact of the war, today the things are not so easy to predict. We will see how it will be. Companies are generally very satisfied with the employees from Ukraine, but as I said, of course, as you may know, men have to stay in Ukraine because they have no access to emigrate from the country is natural because they are in the war, and also is not, I would say, very clear to predict if all people who emigrated from the Ukraine will stay in Slovakia, because a lot of them will return back to Ukraine, and also some people will move to Western Europe. So also it's a question, but we started also with Asian countries. A few years ago, we started with countries like Laos, like Vietnam, also India, but Indonesia is also one of very potential sources for many types of the profiles. Today, we are not talking only about the blue-collar positions. We are talking also about highly qualified positions which are very demanding on the market. IT, also engineering profiles, doctors, nurses. There is a variety of profiles which are highly demanded on the Slovak market. I asked our host today, Karnaka, to share my presentation. I'm not sure if I can technically share my presentation, what I prepared for you to maybe talk about this. Yes. Oh, great. We can move to another slide. Yeah, please, another. Yeah. So again, very short introduction of our company. We have offices in Bratislava, Trenčín, Prague, Dili, and Budapest. We have more than 150 active clients, more than 1,000 people recruited. As I said, that there are services as executive search, expert recruitment, international recruitment, expatriate agenda. So today we'll also talk about legalization process in Slovakia, about expatriate process in Slovakia. Also, we offer outsourcing, temporary staffing, and interim management, as well as HR consultancy. As you can see, our clients are especially international reputable companies. You may know a lot of them. We are also the member of Investment Support Association, which is responsible for communication with potential clients to Slovakia. It was also announced a few weeks ago that we will have a new company producer in Slovakia. It will be company Volvo. This is something what is also very important for us, as well as we are the member of the British Chamber of Commerce, and we are also the member of Ideal Place, organized by Forbes, well-known magazine. So we can also move to other slide. And this is maybe something which tells you more about our international journey. As I said, Slovakia is a very small country in comparison with Indonesia. Indonesia is one of the largest countries by population in the world. Slovakia has only 5.4 million citizens. So it's like maybe some quarter in Jakarta. But this is the thing why we decided to move to other markets to source for profiles, and also to make some international talent program. Yes, as I mentioned, the problem with the people shortage was visible mainly in the Western Europe, but in the Central East Europe, like countries like Poland, like Czech Republic, like Slovakia, like Hungary, we four countries, We had, I would say, quite high unemployment rate for many years. It was the impact of the fall of Iron Curtain, the social and cultural changes in our region. And also a very important date is 2004, when we joined the European Union. In European Union, you can, of course, work in every country without any special permission. It means that a lot of Slovaks decided to leave their homeland, as well as Polish, as Czech and Hungarian and other countries like Romania, Bulgaria, and they moved to countries like Germany, United Kingdom. Also, I know many Slovaks are in Australia, so Phil can confirm or can say no, but I know that there is some community of Slovaks living in Australia. And in the end, it started 10 years ago, so it's a thing maybe occurred in this decade that we started to register significant issues with the people shortage in many companies and in many sectors. Before COVID, we started with projects outside of Slovakia in Moldova and Ukraine. As I mentioned, we legalized and found more than 550 people from Ukraine and Moldova till today. Also, then we started in Czech Republic, in Prague. Is also very important market for us. We were one country, so there was motivation to start the business in Czech Republic. And then in 2019, we started with Laos and Indonesia with the projects in this region. And then India. India is also a very important source, mainly for IT profiles and for other types of the profiles. We collaborate with companies like Deutsche Telekom, where we are hiring the IT specialists. Unfortunately, COVID pandemic was, I would say, very, the COVID pandemic had the impact also on global mobility, and also it had impact on access of people to travel to other countries. And I must say that for 2 years or almost 2 years, we did not accomplish any big significant project. We just we were making just some minor recruitments in the windows when the borders were open, but it was very complicated. Also, I must say that during this time we were focused more on local markets. Fortunately, last year, as the COVID pandemic and also there was a new vaccine on the market, and the COVID pandemic was not topic number one anymore. We had a 100% increase of the turnover. It was a significant growth for our company. So we could invest the money, and also we could invest our capital to new projects. And we started this year with IT outsourcing, also IT outsourcing at the place of the client, but also remote IT outsourcing. It means that we have projects where we can dedicate people from other countries to European projects, and also to offer very interesting mandate rates for all IT specialists and experts. So this is one of the new services, as well as residential service or residential projects. As we have a lot of people from abroad, we are also securing the accommodation for them. So we are doing the contracting management with the residential partners. So we are seeking for suitable flats and apartments, and also now we are considering to buy our own residential building with 12 flats to make it for a rental for one of our clients. So this business is very highly combined, and also very related to the HR business. And also we opened the Delhi office. We are one of the first Slovak companies in India. We have a private limited company there, and the Indian market is for sure challenge. But I must say that I'm really eager to be also successful in Indian market. We are flying there with my team in October, in the beginning of October. So now we are also working a lot with Indian companies and Indians. So we can move to another slide, maybe to some of our core values. I'm always saying that our business is quite sensitive. We listen a lot, or we hear a lot about the cases of human slavery, modern slavery. and HR business is very sensitive towards some transparency and also some legality of the process. We always follow and we always respect all laws and all restrictions, if there are some, just to avoid any risk for employees and also for clients. We know that penalties for such a or some sanctions for such a cases are very high, and we do not risk in case of international recruitment. Our partners are official bodies like embassies, consulates, also foreign police, also the labor offices. So for us, this transparency is very important, and also it means social responsibility, sustainable growth, and we also invest a lot of in technological advancement of our company in CRM systems and automation. We can move forward. Yeah, please. So very briefly, executive search, as I mentioned, service focus on highly managerial profiles like a CEO, COO, CFO, CTOs, and other profiles. Also, another slide is expert recruitment. It's, I would say, service one level below executive search, also focused on white collar positions. This is very one of the pillars of our company, and very important service we are providing to our clients. There were also many changes within the legislation as European Union adopted the GDPR and other regulations. We can also move forward. This will be the slide about the international recruitment. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, this 600 is today more. It's roughly 650. This week we should have some new hirings. As I described in chapters before, for us, one of the key services, one of the key sectors is for sure production, also the logistics and transportation, and also construction. Those three sectors are demanding a lot of labor power, a lot of human power. So this is something very important for us, but as well as information technology. This is also everywhere the big question, how to find and how to attract the people for information technology projects, and is the future of this business. And I must say that yes, we are more motivated to solve IT projects, because in comparison, if we are fulfill 10 IT experts, it's like maybe 50 blue collars. So for sure, we want to focus on quality, not on quantity. The reasons are very natural, that we are facing also struggles how to get appointment at the embassy or at all embassies. This is a global problem for Slovak embassies, that there are not enough appointments for applicants from third countries. We are facing this issue also in India and Indonesia. In the past, it was also in other countries. So if we also find a candidate, in some cases we need to wait 4 up to 6 months to make application. So this is something what is also regulated by our government, and also this is the reason why sometimes the quality more than quantity. Of course, there is open question, what are the suitable markets where to find IT people? But for example, with Indonesians, we are very happy to collaborate mainly in production field. Employers are very happy with their loyalty and also with the motivation. So I'm sure that the projects of hiring of people from Indonesia has a bright future. And also, according to demographical forecast, the markets in Central Europe are definitely suitable for international recruitment. Just to imagine our problem, every year in Slovakia we are missing 30,000 economically active population, and 30,000 people as economically active population. It means that in 1 decade we will be missing 300,000 people on the market. Because of the high average age, it means that a lot of people will be retired. Also, we do not have a very good natality rate. The natality rate in Slovakia is just 1.5 per couple. it means that in the future we will need for sure the people from other countries, and as I said, that this service is for us most growing business currently now. We can move forward. Outsourcing services, as you said, we can do outsourcing services also in the European Union or outside of European Union. If we are talking about third countries, there are some restrictions related to GDPR or compliance issues. So not all projects could be outsourced, but we are selecting the projects which could be outsourced also to other countries with quite successful collaboration with many Indian companies. For example, we started with websites. Today, we are also going to create maybe some bigger solutions for clients. We are negotiating about the creation of one CRM system for one real estate company. So also the outsourcing services or complex services are important for our future growth. The next slide. The interim management also in Central East Europe, quite new service when the companies want to contract someone for a limited time just to use the expertise and experience of senior people from various types of the businesses. Please, next slide. A temporary staffing, very similar to outsourcing, but also maybe focus more on blue collar positions. We can move forward. The agile consultancy also analyzes. We are doing the market mapping, also the salary marketing for new investors, but also for companies we want to expand. International, yeah, please, you can also move forward to international internship program. Yeah, also we are starting with this business, but it's just at beginning. We want to focus on potential students from countries from Asia to attract them to study in Slovakia and also in Czech Republic. We started some negotiation with Charles University in Prague. Yes, there are some questions from the students because the monthly or annual fee for universities in Czech Republic or in Slovakia are not very cheap. So some students decide to study, for example, in Western Europe or in United States or in Australia or in other countries. But we want to target on students who, for example, studied in Ukraine. Maybe you have this information that there were tens of thousands of international students studying in Ukraine, and they had to return back to their home countries. And we can also want to offer them. We want to offer them some kind of alternative where to study. We can move forward. Yeah, the outplacement also. The service which is highly used in I would say hard times, but not today. Today we are still waiting for hard times. We will see how inflation will impact on Europe, how energy crisis will impact on the economy. This is a big dilemma and also a big question for next year, how we will survive these hard times, and also how companies will handle with absolutely dramatically growing prices of energy like gas, electricity. So this is something we will also see next year. Maybe you heard that in EU at the stock market in Frankfurt, the average price for megawatt per hour was 50 euro per megawatt, maybe 1-2 years ago. 2 weeks ago, it reached 1,000. So it's a very massive growth of the prices. But let's be optimistic. I'm really looking forward to collaborating also with our Indonesian friends and community. So it's everything from my side. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me.
Well, Jakub, thank you so much for a very comprehensive presentation. I don't think you've left much room for questions, but we do have some that have been furnished from our participants today. And firstly, from Mustafa Fahmy, just asking what the solution can be to the problem of having skills that a company might need, but not having formal skill certification.
Yes. there is a variety of certificates and a lot of types of certificates. Some of certificates could be obtained very easily and very quickly. For example, if you need a driver license for forklift, it's very possible to get it in 1 or 2 days in Slovakia to do the training to prove that you are able to drive, and it's fine. Of course, if you're an electrician, you need to also demonstrate certain experience and skills. Then you can go to 3 days training and 3 days licensing, and then you can just get it. But if you are applying for position of doctor, is absolutely different process, and it's not so easy, of course, to do some apostilles, to do some nostrifications. But generally, if you have only the skills and you don't have certificates, it's possible that company can provide you some alternative position, maybe for lower salary, with no need for some special certificate. But in the meantime, you can do some trainings. Company can also invest in the certificate, and you can obtain it, because for the company is also asset when they have someone with some certificate and they can use his work. So also for companies is a motivation to help people to get certificates and licenses.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And secondly, from Tasara Furi, is just wondering if work contracts can be extended, or if there is additional opportunities once the original opportunity is expired. The original
yes,
contract?
yes, sure. In Slovakia, usually the authorities issue a work permit for 2 years, but it's possible to extend it to another 2 years. After 5 years, employee or man or woman can request for a permanent or for temporary address, for permanent address in Slovak Republic. It means that after 5 years you don't have to wait for extension. You can stay here permanently. After 7 years, it's possible to apply for citizenship, but there are some language courses, the language tests, and also there is a different process. But yes, it's possible to get renewal or some kind of extension for a contract after one is expired.
Wonderful, thank you. And lastly, then, from Sheila Hariati Hilda Aziza, is just asking for some general advice as a prospective migrant worker candidate who hasn't worked overseas previously. You know, what your advice is on preparing to be able to work overseas, and obviously particularly in Slovakia.
Yes. I would say that there are 2 dimensions. One dimension is for sure cultural dimension. To read something about the country, about the destination, about people, about some habits, about food. Also, food is one of questions, and also is one of the topics we are not talking about during the interview. But for many people, it's very important. For all people, it's important, because without food we cannot survive. So if we have people who are vegetarians, etc., they can also find out if the company is providing vegetarian meal or not. So there are some, as I say, cultural questions. So this is something more about the adaptation process. And if we are talking about, and also if we are talking about culture, it's very important to read something about the prices of the food, of prices of services. So generally to know the country where I am traveling. And because also it's sometimes a question that some people are qualified, they want to go to work to Europe, and they say that, okay, in London I can have salary 8,000 pounds per month. In Slovakia it's just 4,000 euro. Okay, but let's compare some consumer prices and also the cost of living in London and in Bratislava. Yes, and maybe the life standard is sometimes the same, or in some cases even better in Slovakia. Is not only about the salaries. So it's also very important to know. And one cultural dimension, and second dimension is for sure work. So I need to know everything about the company where I'm going to travel, maybe where I'm going to work. It's also very important to review some references to see if everything is legit and everything is in line with local law. So this is something what is very important to be prepared for, and then for sure to not forget on some legal things, or on some official things, like if you need to bring some police clearance or something like this, what you can manage only in Indonesia personally, is very important to not forget on some official documents.
Well, Jakob, that brings us to the end of our questions. Thank you so much for sharing so freely some very useful advice and information for everybody on the webinar today. Then finally, not finally, but that takes us next to Croatia and Mr. Datu Putra Pasada, economic diplomat of the Indonesian Embassy in Zagreb, Croatia. Welcome, Datu.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you very much, Phil, for the introduction. And should I go on now? Should I start?
Please. Yes, please.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, Phil and distinguished speakers. Selamat siang kepada para hadirin, and thank you for Pak Karnaka for inviting me to become one of the speakers in this webinar today. And I feel a little bit awkward because I am the only government representative in the panel, but I hope the information that I will share today will be something that is of valuable to all of you. But of course, I will introduce a slightly different point of view than the rest of the panels, who more knowledgeable of the ins and outs of this business. So today I would like to talk about the opportunities for Indonesian migrant workers in Croatia. So it's interesting why Pak Karnaka invited me to become the speaker in this webinar, because I think he sees something that a lot of people in Indonesia in the foreign worker recruitment business don't see. So Croatia now is experiencing what we call, I'm not sure whether brain drain is the correct term to use, but since joining the EU in 2013, Croatia has been witnessing the immigrating of their workers to neighboring European Union countries to seek different opportunities. So this trend left so many employment field open to be taken advantage of by foreign workers. And in recent years, I've seen growing numbers of foreign workers from Asia countries, from Indonesian counterparts like the Philippines, Nepal, Bangladesh, and India, working in various sectors, in hospitality sectors, in restaurants, in construction. So what does this trend tells me? That yes, there's an opportunity here for Indonesian workers. It's only a matter whether we can take advantage of more lenient government policy for recruitments, because beginning in 2021, the Croatian government eliminated quota for foreign workers, which means that companies can bring in foreign workers as much as they like. But of course, before that, they need to be able to convince the government that local workers in short supply, so that recruiting foreign workers is needed and is necessary. And also, then the next question is what field that that Indonesian foreign workers can take advantage of. One thing that immediately came to mind is the hospitality sector. So Croatia is a tourism dependent country for their economic growth. So probably you don't know this, but the number of foreign tourists coming into Croatia is almost 5 times of their population. So I think in the 2019 there were 21 million tourists coming into Croatia, a country of just 3.9 million people. So yes, tourism sector is a huge it's a huge industry here. It's something that the economy is very much dependent on. And yes, there has been lack of there has been lack of workers to supply the needs to keep up with the growth of the industry. This is something that I've been heard, and people came to me to ask the embassy whether it is possible to get workers from Indonesia. And I said, yes, why not? And then I think this is a matter for the Badan Perlindungan Pekerja Migran to look into. I believe that Croatia has not been on the Indonesian government's radar as a country, destination country. And this is something that we can look at and study more deeply about the actual potential for Indonesian worker in Croatian labor market. So yes, and another reason why I strongly promote hospitality sector is because Croatia is also growing its halal tourism market. So I envision, like in the coming years, in maybe 3 or 5 years, halal tourism in Croatia will grow exponentially, which means that demand for workers who understand the ins and outs of halal industry, how to prepare halal food, how for example to prepare halal food and so many aspects of the halal industry, and it's something that can be met by Indonesian workers. And I think this is one area that we must look into, and I strongly urge Indonesian recruitment companies and Indonesian government in particular to really get together and to study the potential of this market in depth and find the opportunity and open the opportunity to send more Indonesian workers to Croatia. And another point that probably that is of interest for the workers, I think just like in most European countries and in Croatian government has a minimum salary requirements for workers. I think there's no discrimination whether you are local or foreign workers. So everybody has a set of numbers that is required by the Croatian government as the minimum salary. And also, in general, workers are entitled for several benefits, tax tax subsidies, health insurance, and also retirement savings. I think this is a pretty good deal, yeah. But I think this is a pretty standard facilities given by European government towards their workers. And also, this is a rather short information for the recruitment agency. I think what we have seen so far is that the permit issuance is pretty much simple. The Croatian government tried to minimize the red tapes, the bureaucracy for the issuance of recruitment permits. I think in average, it only takes around 60 days for workers recruitment permits to be issued from the day of the submission. So yeah, but all in all, what I would like to say to the audience is this: Croatia is I think the future market for Indonesian foreign labor, because the tourism industry is continue to grow, and I know very well that we have a lot of capable and qualified human resources in Indonesia that can support the growth of the tourism industry in Croatia, and also with the halal in tourism becoming a trend in Croatia, and this is also give more reasons for the Indonesian government and for the recruitment agency to look more into the Croatian market and find and open the opportunities so that we can send more and compete with our counterparts like the Philippines, India, and Bangladesh and Nepal. So I think this is my short presentation, Phil. I'm open to questions from the audience. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Datu. As with the other speakers, we do have just 3 short questions that have been lodged already by our participants today. So if I could start with a question from Irvan Soandi, really just inquiring about the ability to get permanent residence in in your country, in Croatia.
Permanent residence, yes. In principle, says you can get permanent residence, but in Croatia you need to at least stay in Croatia for 3 years, if I remember correctly, 3 years of an uninterrupted stay, and you must you must reach a certain level of Croatian language mastery. I think that's the 2 major requirements, and of course you have to have a permanent job here. I think that is the general requirement to obtain permanent residency in Croatia.
Well, thank you. And then secondly, from Muhammad Khairul Umam, is really just interested, how can I identify opportunities and work fields that might match their skills?
Yes. So basically, I have circulated a short paper. I think the organizer can circulate this paper to the audience. So in that paper, I mentioned a couple of websites of recruitment agencies or headhunters in Croatia. I mean, you can look the opportunities there and see whether you can find anything that match your interests and your skills. I think that's the best way and to get opportunity to work in Croatia. And of course, I think you can consult with your recruitment agency who has been in contact with Croatian employers. I think Pak Karnata can help you in that.
Of course you can. 37 years of experience helping in these things. And finally, then, Datu, Harry
Yeah.
Agus Damuan is asking just about in Croatia what the country's tolerance for Muslims is.
Oh yeah, this is, I think it's a very Muslim tolerant countries, and Islam is part of the society. As many people may have known this, that Croatia used to be part of the Yugoslavia, and Bosnia is part of Yugoslavia. So there is this cultural interaction between Croatian and Bosnian. There are you can find some Bosnian living in Croatia, and they built. So the Croatian society is very. They used to having Muslims in their environments, and we have a couple of Islamic centers here in the countries, and you can also find several halal food restaurants and halal food stores. And like I said earlier, they're very keen in developing their halal tourism industry. That means that give the signals that yes, they are welcome to Muslims, whether to live or to just a tourist or become part of Croatian society. So yes, the opportunity is the answer is that Croatia is very much welcome to Muslims. Thank you.
Wonderful, Datu. Thank you. And you finished just as your internet connection, I think, gets a little bit shaky. So thank you.
I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for that, Phil.
No, it was just fine. So thank you again. And Datu, with your presentation, that brings us to our final presentation of the day. And if I can just get my notes for that, that will be from Ms. Kylie Johnson, a senior immigration consultant of PF Collins International. PF Collins has over 30 years of experience in providing immigration consulting services to a wide range of companies and industries. They're regulated Canadian immigration consultants, are licensed with the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants, and provide advice in all areas of Canadian immigration. Unfortunately, due to the time difference between Canada and Indonesia, there wasn't a feasible time to arrange a live presentation, so Kylie has provided this recorded presentation. Welcome, Kylie.
Hi, my name is Kylie Johnstone, and I work with PF Collins International Trade Solutions in St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada. I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and have been working in the immigration industry and with PF Collins for almost 19 years. The focus of my presentation today will be on the requirements for temporary foreign workers coming to Canada from Indonesia. I'll first provide some numbers related to current statistics within the Canadian labour market. Then I'll talk about the work permit streams, namely the labour market impact assessment process. And we'll then go into detail about the work permit application process with Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC. I'll also provide some general information, including details on the visa application centers, the temporary resident visa, which is required in addition to the temporary work permit. Finally, I'll close with some tips for entry into Canada. As an RCIC, I advise, consult, and represent clients on Canadian immigration matters. This includes temporary applications for visitors, students, and workers, as well as permanent residency and citizenship applications. Canadian federal laws require licensing for RCICs through the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants. We maintain proficiency through ongoing training, education, and current knowledge of evolving legislation. So here are some interesting current Canadian labour market trends. Our unemployment rate is currently at 5.4%. Our working population is almost 21 million, the average weekly earnings is approximately $1,100, and we have over 900,000 job vacancies. These vacancies are in extremely high demand for certain sectors, such as healthcare and social assistance, construction, manufacturing and retail, and professional, scientific, and technical services. Immigration will provide an integral role for addressing the Canadian labor shortages. However, there will be some challenges for some of these sectors, especially those that require Canadian certifications. Temporary work permits are one viable option to address the job vacancies. When it comes to temporary work permits, there are two streams. The International Mobility Program, which covers all free trade agreements such as CUSMA, CETA, GATT, etc., or the Labor Market Impact Assessment stream. It is most likely LMIAs will be required for the work in Canada, so that's the stream we're going to focus on today. The Temporary Foreign Worker Program allows Canadian employers to hire foreign workers to fill temporary jobs when qualified Canadians are not available. There are two types of applications, high wage or low wage. There are 7 centers of specialization based on the type of employment. This includes seasonal agricultural workers and meat processing employers. As the LMIA stream is an employer-driven program, Service Canada will assess all available labor market information for the region and occupation, the employer's recruitment and advertising efforts, the wages, working conditions, labor shortages, and the potential for the transfer of skills and knowledge to Canadians. It is important to know that under the LMIA stream, employers are required to pay the minimum Canadian prevailing wage rate for the position based on the job itself and the location of work. In addition to fair pay, the employer is also required to provide a safe workspace, give you time for breaks, and give you days off. They're also required to respect the terms of your written employment contract. Here you will see an overview of the LMIA process and the timelines. The first step for an employer is advertising, which must take place for a minimum of 4 weeks. Service Canada has specific requirements about where the advertisements must be posted and what they must contain. If the employer fails to comply with these requirements, Service Canada will refuse the LMIA application. Once the advertising is complete, and provided the employer was unable to source qualified Canadians for the role, the employer can then proceed with the LMIA application. Once it is submitted to Service Canada, they will take payment and assign the request to an assessing officer. The officer may contact the employer and/or the representative to confirm details in the application, as well as to ask any questions they feel were unanswered throughout the application process. The current processing time is 46 business days, and it is not guaranteed. Once a decision is made, the LMIA decision letter is sent to the employer and/or the representative. Positive or neutral decision is used to support the foreign national's work permit request. If the decision is negative, the employer must address the reasons for the refusal before starting to advertise again. This will result in starting over the LMIA process. When the positive or neutral LMIA is received from Service Canada, the foreign national can then apply for their work permit. This must be done directly to IRCC prior to travel to Canada. It can be submitted electronically, either by the applicant or through a representative, or be submitted through a visa application center. The application must include copies of identity documents and supporting documents, police certificates, and medicals as required, along with the relevant fee payments, which we'll get to shortly. Once the work permit application is submitted, IRCC will issue the biometric instruction letter within 24 to 48 hours. The applicant will then need to make an appointment at the nearest visa application center for processing. This will include digital photograph and fingerprinting services. Once this step is complete, IRCC will begin their assessment. IRCC can request additional information at any time, including reference letters, medical results, police certificates, proof of employment, etc. Once a decision is made, if approved in principle, IRCC will request the original passport. This must then be coordinated with the nearest visa application center. Here you will see an overview of the work permit application process and timelines I just mentioned. You should allow for at least 15 to 20 weeks for processing, as the timelines fluctuate regularly, and do not include the time required to complete biometrics and submit and receive passports. Visa application centers play an important role for IRCC. They are private companies that have formal contracts with the Government of Canada to collect your biometrics and to securely send your passport to and from the visa office. They are located worldwide with 2 offices in Indonesia, one in Bali and one in Jakarta. Indonesian nationals require temporary resident visas in addition to the work permit. The TRV is a counterfoil affixed to the original passport, and once this is done, IRCC will issue a letter of approval for travel to Canada. Just a little bit about the fees. Service Canada charges $1,000 per person for a labor market impact assessment. This fee is payable by the employer and cannot be passed on to the foreign worker. IRCC fees include $85 for the biometric processing and $155 for the work permit processing. These fees can be paid by the employer or the foreign national and will depend on the contractual employment arrangement. Once you have your passport with the TRV and your letter approving travel to Canada, you can proceed with booking your trip. I recommend that you schedule 3 to 4 hours for any in-Canada connection to allow you enough time for processing. Upon arrival, you will need to present yourself to the Border Services officers at your first Canadian port of entry. They will complete an assessment for your entry into Canada, so you will need your ArriveCan declaration, the IRCC letter of approval for travel, your original passport with the visa counterfoil, and copies of all documents submitted to IRCC in support of your work permit request. Once they verify your identity and confirm your information, they will print your work permit and send you on your way to your new job in Canada. The field of immigration is constantly changing, even on a daily basis. Rules and regulations from various government departments affect the advice we provide our clients. As RCICs, our job is to keep up to date and informed on these changes and processes. We are here to help. I know this was a lot of information, but I hope this helps you understand the processes and the timelines required for working temporarily in Canada. As I close out, I'd like to take this time to wish the Indonesian Work Overseas Consulting Company a very happy 37th birthday. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Kylie. And first of all, thank you for your best wishes for Kanaka and his business. And it really is a shame you couldn't be with us live today, but thank you again for taking the trouble to prepare your presentation and for all the wonderful information you've shared with us. There were some questions posed for Kylie, which she has had a chance to review and provide some answers to. So perhaps I could just lead us through those. So first of all, we had a question from Lenny, who was really just asking about the benefits of working in Canada and if it's possible to obtain permanent residence, to which Kylie had responded that depending on the position and the employer, you may be able to obtain PR status. And there are many streams for this, including provincial nominee program and express entry. Secondly, from Abdurrahman Hedi, was wondering about the cost that you need to be prepared for in working in Canada, to which Heidi had responded, the amount of money you need to come to Canada will depend on the size of your family and the type of immigration program you qualify for. For temporary work permits, you need to pay the $155 work permit fee and $85 biometrics fee. There's no minimum amount required as you'll be coming to Canada to work and gain earnings, but you should be prepared to be able to pay for travel, food, accommodations, and everyday living expenses, including rent, utilities, transportation, etc. And lastly, from Budi Santoso, was wondering if there is a possibility to be a migrant worker without having the related job experience. For example, he's working as a retail store supervisor and wants to apply for manufacturing or agricultural sectors. And again, Kylie responds, for temporary work, you'll need to have the related job experience as required by the position itself. Some sectors may have less requirements than others, but if you do have the minimum required by the employer, your application will most likely be refused. Sorry, if you do not have the minimum required by the employer. That ends the questions for Kylie, and that brings us to the end of our presentations as well. So with that, I hope you've found all of the presentations interesting and useful, and it's been my very real pleasure to be with you all today. I will now pass back to Bina Mandiri, Managing Director Pak Kanaka, to make some concluding remarks and close the event. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Pak Bill. It's a very pleasure that you're willing to support us during this webinar. I very appreciate for your support and my gratitude. And I wish that I can always bother you again.
Absolutely.
And to conclude, there's a lot of opportunity overseas, and I hope that all our speakers have been given all the information for all Sahabat Bina Mandiri to work overseas for the new country, the new market, so you can have more choices to work overseas. Again, thank you very much for all speakers. Thank you for all participants who have attended the webinar. And last but not least, I'd like to thank all my who have been involved. I hope we can meet again for future event. Thank you very much.
You are welcome, Pak.